Hey everyone, this is Kevin Kovac from Dirt on Dirt and FloRacing, and I'm joined by the managing editor of Dirt on Dirt, Todd Turner. We're just here right now, kind of in a little a special, an emergency get together we're doing here, just to talk about some of the crazy stuff that's happened this week in dirt late model racing. Another wild week, Todd. Ricky Thornton Jr. released from the SSI Motorsports car course on Sunday, and all kinds of things have happened since then. Of course, we have Hudson O'Neal going back to that SSI Motorsports ride to take over for Ricky Thornton immediately this weekend at Lucas Oil Series races. And also, Ricky Thornton just today has announced that he will be with the Koehler Motorsports team, kind of joining as a teammate to Jimmy Owens and the Koehler boys who already are there. So, man, Todd, it's been something else this week. How do we? I mean, this is the thing that you have never, well, you don't experience as us as journalists very often.
No, it actually had me looking at my calendar, wondering what month it is, because sometimes we do have some crazy silly season stuff going on in late fall or winter. But for Ricky Thornton, up until this week, the number one ranked driver and Dirt on Dirt's driver of the year last year, to have him having to leave a team that we have all heard about how good in sync they are and how great they've been, to him be sent away from that team in essence to start anew in just a matter of days with another team with Koehler Motorsports. It is a whirlwind, and it's really going to be interesting. Can Ricky Thornton Jr. maintain where he is?
The other side here is Hudson O'Neal. He leaves, of course. That was a huge story back in March when he decided to leave the Rocket One, the Rocket House car, and go on his own, which he was able to start like about a month later. He got his own deal out, and now he's in the middle of another big story where he goes back to the SSI Motorsports team. And it's not that he wanted to be involved with all this stuff, but man, here's Hudson O'Neal, the 23-year-old, won $1 million in racing last year, and man, he's thrust himself into the middle of dirt late model racing's news world here.
Yeah, I mean, drivers to be with one great team anytime in their career would be great. We have Hudson O'Neal, who arguably left what was the best all-time dirt late model team, now joining to what is currently agreed upon as one of the best teams going. So it is a whirlwind, and really, I think we're all kind of having to wrap our heads around what this means. And again, not in the off season where we have a couple of months to retool and fix the cars up and get the new graphics package. These guys are going right back to racing, and in the middle of racing on the same series with the Lucas Oil series. So it is, I think everybody's going to be doing a little double takes there when they all hit the track and trying to keep track of who is in what car and what sponsor they belong to, because we're quickly going to have to learn that with these two guys switching teams.
Yeah, like the two of the three teams that won $1 million last year. Hudson's been with two of them now. I mean, he's been with two of the three teams. Bobby Pierce, who has his own team, so I don't think he's getting released or leaving anytime soon. So we could keep that one there. He's the other $1 million guy. Man, it's when I spoke to Todd Burns, the owner of SSI Motorsports, and let's be honest here, he understands it also. No one can really figure out. No one, and looking on the outside into this, can really believe that it happened. Can believe that a car owner, after winning 50 races with the driver, over $1 million in the last 2 years, and still on top of the game, really repeating last year's season, would just in the middle of the season decide to switch the direction he's going with his driver. But it happened, and Todd has said he knows that people will not understand it, but it's just what he felt he had to do. He did not give out the details of it, but I'm sure you're looking at it too, like just like all of us do. Man, how could you give up this team that you had built, which he was very proud of also?
Well, there's lots of backstory to all this. Hudson, of course, drove for SSI before. He's an Indiana guy. He's right there, close relationship with Burns throughout this. So, there's a lot of moving parts, and all this stuff kind of as I talked about on Fast Talk this week, a little bit part business and part soap opera, all
Mm-hmm.
machinations of all these things moving around. I will note with Thornton going to Kohler. We all kind of make note of Thornton's kids in Victory Lane, his wife Shay, often with them selling merchandise and stuff. Family's important to him. Clearly, with the Kohler bunch, that is a family kind of focused team. With Evan and Jordan, their sons racing with the team as well. So maybe Thornton did land in the right place. We've talked about how many people wanted Thornton. He's a top driver. He said he fielded some serious phone calls and literally dozens and dozens of other calls of people offering him a ride. So he thinks he landed in the right place, and we will quickly find out. There will be a microscope on both these teams these next couple of even just these couple of races, but definitely as we ease into the second half of the season on the Lucas Oil Series.
Yeah, typically, when a driver loses a ride, I mean, even if it's from the top or a middle ride, I mean, whatever you want to talk about, they don't just jump into another one, another top-notch ride immediately. It's difficult sometimes to find another seat to land in. Ricky Thornton Jr. He has risen so high up on the totem pole of dirt late model racing where it was not difficult. I think he probably even knew that in his heart that we're like, man, this is different. This is a weird situation for me, but I feel like I'm at that level now where people are going to want me. I'm in demand, and he certainly showed that with. I mean, Kohler called him within an hour and a half, I believe. Ricky said of the news coming out. So that's how high up now Ricky Thornton is as a dirt late model racer.
I think what's interesting is the challenges or the situations both drivers, if we look at O'Neal and Thornton now, find themselves in. So the question is, can O'Neal settle into the same car and the same team with Anthony Burrows, who's a longtime crew chief and very well thought of? Clearly, he and Thornton were in sync. Will O'Neal settle into that and immediately pick right up and be even better? O'Neal struggled with his own car. He's run pretty
Mm-hmm.
well in Kevin Rumley's ride. So I think that's a big question. Will O'Neal just slide into that? On the other hand, the challenges he faced, he's also with a team with Jimmy Owens. They've been okay, but they haven't been knocking them dead. He also has the resources kind of spread out among Owens and then the boys, Jordan and Evan, when they're racing as well. So he's also got a new crew chief. Will that team coalesce quickly? Because Thornton doesn't have a lot of time to kind of like, hey, let's work this thing out. When he's leading the Lucas Oil points, he wants to just keep right on humming. So it's really going to be interesting to watch how both drivers quickly adapt to their new situations.
Yeah, and you see, go back a few months here to when Hudson left the Rocket House car. He was in the top four in the points for the Lucas Oil Series. He's not anymore. He's fallen out of that as he's tried to get the rhythm back going with his own deal. And now he goes to a team that was atop the points and has that same team. Remember, Anthony Burrows, DJ Williams, and Tharp. They're all staying there with the team with SSI Motorsports. So Hudson, that's a tailor-made situation for him to go in where he has everything really in place. He doesn't have to worry about the bills anymore either. And one other factor I just want to also talk about is the connection that Todd Burns has had with Hudson. Let's remember he started him in late model racing when Hudson was a teenager, 15 years old. He put him in his first super late model. Hudson lived at his house while he was working on the car, and so there's a real big connection. He let him go in 2019 after the season, like late in the season, and he didn't. And Todd Burns doesn't planning to race anymore after that. He wasn't even planning to come back. But after the COVID situation and everybody started back racing, he did come back racing with Ricky Thornton. But he was also, I mean, you have to be honest, he was always looking at Hudson O'Neal and maybe thinking maybe I'd like to have him back someday. He thought Hudson would have been settled in perfectly with for a long time. with the Rocket House car, and he wouldn't have to worry about like maybe that thought. Maybe now, and that thought finally came back to him, and now they're together, which is, I mean, it is what it is for everybody. And like the thing is, Todd, everyone's going to probably forget about this a little bit. It'll all get back once cars get back on the racetrack and we stop talking about it and writing about it. Look what happened back in March. Within a couple of weeks, it felt like everything was back to the normal situation with Tim McCready in the Rocket House car, Hudson doing his own thing, Carson Ferguson in the Paler car. I think we'll see that again, right, Todd?
Yeah, the dominoes fall rarely in the middle of July,
Mm-hmm.
like we're having here. Maybe the benefactors are these Lucas Oil tracks that are hosting these upcoming races, because there's going to be a lot of eyes on 34 Raceway Thursday when they rejoin, then Tri City and Lucas Oil Speedway hosting weekend races as well. So, where people will be for sure interested to see who wins those races, but they'll also be looking down that list to see where Thornton and O'Neal finish too.
Yeah, that's what Todd Burns had said that about his team. His crew guys were a little bit nervous going into this weekend just because they know a spotlight will be on them. But hey, the spotlight's been on them for more than a year now with all the wins that they have and all the times they've been in victory lane. So 34 Raceway on Thursday night. That will be the Lucas Oil race. It's on FloRacing, so everyone can watch it even if they can't make it out to the track. You can watch all three races, Tri City and also at Wheatland, Missouri this weekend. Check it out. Lots of stuff happening. Keep an eye on that Ricky Thornton Jr. and Hudson O'Neal and see where they finish this weekend on FloRacing.